Welcome to the JayGravesReport College Football Weekly Wrap-Up, Week 12. Y'all know how we get it in, so let's get it in. Wrapping up the top 5 ball games of the weekend, so let's get right to it. Let's go down to the SEC. Florida goes to number 10, South Kakalaki. For all you duns that don't know what that is, that's South Carolina. Now, South Carolina comes out of this ball game with a win, 19-14. Now, South Carolina wins 16 straight at the crib after winning this ball game, and they still in the hunt for the SEC East. Now here's the problem. They sitting around waiting on Mizzou to either lose to Ole Miss next week or Johnny Football the week after. That might just happen. Johnny Football is still playing good football right now, banging boys out to win. So I think that Mizzou goes down in a couple of weeks and South Carolina plays in the SEC championship game. Now, Florida on the other side. These Duns lose this ball game. Now they 4-6. Will Muschamp, they're going to mess around in Lane Kiffin that dud. They got the best defense in the SEC and probably the worst offense in the SEC. I don't want to hear all the excuses about Jeff Driscoll going down early. You got Tyler Murphy, who's probably a better quarterback because he's a dual threat, but you can't keep the boy on his feet. Can't keep him on his feet. Florida is dubs. I don't hear nobody talking about Florida for the rest of the year. Matter of fact, don't even talk to me about Florida till next year. Holla at your boy. Let's move on to the next ball game. Number 4, Stanford goes to the Coliseum to play the USC Trojans. Now, Stanford comes into this ball game after a huge win over the Oregon Ducks, or the Parliament Funkadelic, as I always like to say. I picked Stanford to win this ball game because I figured USC just wasn't up to the task, but old Ed Orgeron got these boys rolling. They won 5 out of 6, come in here and win this ball game 20-17. I can't understand how in the world you win a ball game like you did last week against the Parliament Funkadelic, and then let these Duns from USC hang around. You know USC got crazy talent. They just didn't have the leadership. Now that they got rid of old Doug Lane Kiffin, they rolling. Boys are rolling now. Cody Kessler came into this joint from USC, put up 288 yards, and went to work. Went to the crib. Let's move on to the next ball game. Number 12, Oklahoma State goes down to Darrell Royal Stadium to play the number 24 Texas Longhorns. Now, I told you boys going into this ball game, Texas didn't have a chance. Why? Because Oklahoma State can put up points. It was just as simple as that, bro. Clint Schiff went to work, had 197 yards and 2 touchdowns in the air. Went for another 95 on the ground and 2 more touchdowns. This day, next week sets up a huge ball game in the Big 12. Oklahoma State and Baylor. Now, let's go on to the next ball game. Texas Tech played down in Dallas against Baylor in Jerry's World. Number 5 Baylor at the time. Now, Baylor came in and did what it normally does. Put up 63 points. Beat these Duns 63-34. They put up 675 yards of total offense. Bryce Perry went out there and put up 335 yards and 3 touchdowns. But here was the problem. Baylor gave up 458 yards of total offense, 314 and 4 touchdowns to Baker Mayfield. The problem is they got to show up next week and play Oklahoma State that puts up crazy numbers. So while everybody hollering and screaming about Baylor moving past Ohio State in the AP rankings this week, don't worry about it because they still got to play Oklahoma State. Ohio State still has to play in the Big Ten Championship and play the best defense in the country in Michigan State. Alabama still has to play the Auburn Tigers. Let's move on to the next ball game because number 25, Georgia, went down to play number 7, the Auburn Tigers. Now, Auburn came into this joint, was beating the brakes off of the Georgia Bulldog. Oh, dumb Rick and the Georgia Bulldog had them down 27-7 with 12 minutes left in the ball game. All of a sudden, give up crazy points. They're down 38-37 with 25 seconds left in the game. All of a sudden, Nick Marshall throws a Hail Mary up, which was short. Everybody giving Nick Marshall all the credit for throwing the Hail Mary and getting the 73-yard touchdown pass to Ricardo Lewis. But let's keep it real. It was short. Ricardo Lewis should get all the credit for catching this ball because he never took his eye off of it. But now, this sets up the huge game in the SEC 2 weeks from now. Alabama has to go to Auburn to play in the Iron Bowl. Everybody thinking that Alabama's a shoe-in. They're going to get to the national championship. They still got to play these duds. Now, we'll talk about who I think will win that game, but I guess you already know who I think is going to win this ball game. So, guess who's sitting in the cut waiting on whoever's going to show up? The Florida State Seminoles and Famous Jameis. See, this week they tried to put the horse head in Famous Jameis' bed, but it didn't work. Because everybody know this is some dumb, trumped up, crazy situation they trying to pull out the gate, and it's not going to work. So, it's your man Jay Graves Report from the JayGravesReport.com, or you can hit me up on Twitter at JayGravesReport and holla at your boy.